I'm so glad that's not me up there. I'm in my neighborhood. There's these landmark eucalyptus trees. They're really beautiful. Don't get me wrong. But they're hugely fire hazardous. They sort of block a few views. The guy up here has to trim these trees up in order to have the view come through. You see what happens. You trim them up and they just sprout more and more material on the base. They're constantly dropping debris, which is also fire hazardous. And the worst problem of all here is the fall risk. And you can see this giant tree. It's just, you got to stand back really far to see it. Giant tree. Look at the scale here. Giant tree. It's probably 80 feet tall, maybe 90 feet. I don't know, maybe 100. And if that thing fell, the winds come this direction. Boom! Imagine the whole tree just went whoo, whoosh into that beautiful house right over there. Right over there. So, these people here own these trees and I think they're doing the smart thing here. And they're pulling them out. They were cool trees, don't get me wrong, but I don't know. They're not native. Of course, not much I sell is native, but I do love native plants. Fire hazardous, huge fall risk. Lots of litter and debris on the bottom that's fire hazardous. So he made the decision that they got to go. And we have Julian Tree here today, folks. And these guys are really good. They brought their big boy crane out here. Looks like about a 40-ton crane to me, without going and checking the paperwork. And what they're doing here is they are grabbing a set. I've done this work myself. In fact, I did this on my own trees because I was too cheap to hire these guys. Well, look, see, he's cut it. Crane's pulling it up. That way they can let it down nice and gently without destroying anything or anyone. And so that's what's going on right here. Crane's giving it a little bit of a wiggle jiggle. It's got a little bit of up pressure. You don't want too much up pressure because all of a sudden it breaks, the whole tree could shake. And the guy's tied in, but it's just not a very fun feeling when suddenly the whole tree is bouncing back and forth like a crazy. I'll show you, maybe I can insert a video here of like what I'm talking about. But so he's finally made the final cut. Okay, crane released. The crane guy has to pick up, but not so much that he's picking up so much that the thing flies in the air and shock loads the crane when it comes back down. Shock loading is an instantaneous moment of force that lasts for just a millisecond, but it could be much greater than static force on a machine, and that could cause the boom to break. Any number of things could happen. Anyway, we got a super easy job. Our kipper never operated one of those, but you got the grabber, and it just pulls it right in the machine. That way you don't have any kind of cargo business happening. If you've seen that movie, you'll know what I mean. Yeah, this is pretty cool. Just grabs it. Pretty cool. Chipper. It's gonna be awesome. Here we go. job.
I'm gonna charge you for spectator fee.
I know, you gotta charge me now. This is amazing. I did stuff like this, but not nearly as high. Gotta hand it to him. Woo! There's my neighbor. Poor guy having to pay for all this. Oh my gosh. Probably like 25 grand or something. I don't even know. I think he said something like that. But I think these guys are earning it. Definitely earning it. Look at that monkey. I've done that. I've been there. I don't think I've been that high. Doesn't really matter though. Once you're above 60 feet, you're gonna die if you hit. Well, not guaranteed, but most likely. All right, that's it for the day. And just like that, you've got yourself a view of Mount Diablo again. Wow, making views great again. Look at these giant stumps. Here's where the eucalyptus used to be. Those things will come right back if you let them sprout. There's the crane, and the guys look like they got everything down. I don't see any dead bodies laying around out there, so looks like they survived it. Let's go take a look at what the aftermath looks like. All right, that's a bad sign right there. It almost looks like this was a shallow grave. There's a helmet. Hopefully I don't find a guy. Anyway, check it out. Gotta have a lot of Red Bull to get a job like this done. See if we can find the biggest dance floor. That'd be kind of fun. Be a cool rock video. You could put like a exotic dancer on each stump, you know, and then you could have that. What's that song? Lights are on. It's not the same. Down your mind is not your own. Your body sweats. Addicted to love. Addicted to love. Yeah, they could all be dancing on these stumps. I'm gonna call people I know in the music industry and see if they want to utilize this set before these stumps get ground out. Look how big this thing is. Jeez Louise. That's an interesting pattern, isn't it? It's like the tree is so big, it's almost creating a semi-buttress to hold itself up by sending these protruding pieces out. I'm guessing that's what the trees do. I wonder if the bigger the stump, we'll see that more. This is Eucalyptus globulus. This tree never should have been introduced into California. It was basically, I forget the guy's name, but there's a guy. In fact, I took a lot of my self-promotion, a shameless self-promotion from this guy I read about long ago. And I'll put his name up on the screen when I figure it out. But basically, he went to Australia and he learned about these trees in the 1800s or something, and learned how fast they could grow, how they could grow in any conditions, how they don't need any water at all. And he put out all of this. The difference between he and I, if you read about him, is that he basically defrauded everybody because he put out false claims on what he was selling, whereas I do not. My palms are awesome all the time, as long as they get put in the right spot. Basically what he did though, he convinced everybody in California that this is the greatest investment ever to buy all these seedlings from his nursery in California. He was the only guy that had them. He created thousands and thousands and probably millions of seedlings. And he sold them to farmers and ranchers with the promise that they would be highly valuable very quickly for lumber. And but then after everybody bought them and planted them all over California, they very quickly realized that it splits really easily, and it's a terrible wood for lumber. Everything else was true. Grew fast, drought tolerant, all those things. But the blue gum is terrible lumber. So if anybody tries to sell you thousands of little seedlings to plant on your property with the claim that you're going to make tons of money by harvesting them someday, because it's fantastic lumber, they're lying. Anyway, so that's the story here. Looks like the crane's all done. They just got to get the stump grinders up here. These guys were so tired, it seems, that they left all their valuable stuff behind. It is a pretty safe town, but this is probably the big bag of money that they got from the job. No, that's the rope that kept the guy alive up in the tree. These straps are extremely expensive. I have a bunch of those myself, but they're trusting of us here in this town. So anyway, there it is. The job is done, and yeah, just a big, beautiful open sky now. And my neighbor Brian up there, really cool place, has an unimpeded view of Mount Diablo once again.